Thank you for staying tuned to Good Morning Abuja. At this point, we will take a look at the main issues that are going to shape our economic outlook as a country for the year 2025. And helping me to do that this morning, I've got an investment banker and a tax consultant with me in the studio. Let's welcome Mr. Afiz Oladapo Ismaila. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
And a good morning to you.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. But start by telling me, some of the key factors and happenings that are going to shape our economic outlook as a country for 2025.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, for 2025, Nigeria is still at its transformation stage with the current government. And so first to look at is that we need to look at the oil price. Nigerian economy is a monoproduct economy, it's a single product economy. So our major revenue comes from the sales of crude oil. So the oil prices is a significant factor that is going to shape the economy because Nigeria is one of the major exporter of oil. So whatever happens at the global prices would definitely have an effect on us also as well as a nation. So oil prices is a key factor of what things that is really going to shape the economy for 2025. Considering the fact that oil constitutes about 90% of our foreign exchange earning, which before is about 70% of our revenue. But if you look at the last budget that was presented by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we have a budget of about 49 trillion. Revenue is projected at 36 trillion. I think the oil revenue there's about 19 trillion, while the non-oil revenue is about 16 trillion. If you take a percentage of that, that means that the non-oil revenue is contributing at about 40 to 45% into the revenue pot. So which shows that our dependency on oil is nosiving gradually. So oil prices here is one of the key factors that is going to shape the Nigerian economy. So I think the second thing that we may also look at that may likely shape the economy with the current efforts of the current government is diversification efforts. I think the government are now trying to see how they can diversify from the oil revenue to the non-oil revenue stream like agriculture. We've seen some initiative in agriculture, the service sector, the manufacturing sector. So if the government continue their diversification efforts, I think it's going to also shape the country into a greater economic prosperity. Then we also need to look at again the fiscal and monetary policy also have their own role to play too as well. Whatever policy that they bring on board will surely have an impact on how the economy will look like. You could see that because of inflation, CBN have been increasing MPR from time to time at a very point in time that they meet. But the reality is that this is making borrowing to be expensive. And if you look at it, the SMEs are the ones that control the economy. They control about 70% of the economy. So how many SME goes to the bank to borrow? So fine, though that policy may be good in theory, but in practice, is not meeting the desired objective. So I think localizing policy is key enough as far as the Nigerian context is concerned. So then, fourthly, another thing that may likely shape the our economy now is Dangote refinery.
Okay.
Yeah, in the sense that if you look at it, this is about 19 billion naira invested, dollar investment. It's one of the largest capital investment in Nigeria. We want to look at it, and probably Africa too as well.
Wow.
So having that on board, it will reduce our our dependency in importing refined crude oil back to Nigeria, coupled with the fact that Port Harcourt refinery have taken off, and also Warri refinery too has also taken off too as well. So I think this will also reduce the dollar expense that is being used to import refined products back to the country. So on a lighter note, I think the oil prices, diversification effort of the federal government,
Mm.
the fiscal and monetary policy, and the establishment of Dangote refinery and the takeoff of Port Harcourt refinery and
Worry.
Warri refinery are things that will definitely shape the way the economy is going to look like as far as 2025 is concerned.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Now, can we take a look at global trends, global economic trends? Will they in any way impact on us, in the coming years as well?
Well, in terms of global trend, I think One of the key things we need to first look at is the green energy transition. Now, there's a global shift from renewable energy to renewable energy now, which is going to reduce the demand for oil. Although it's a good thing in the right direction, but there will be more investments in renewable energy just because of sustainability. So it's one of the key things that is really going to shape. Yeah. Then another thing we also need to look at is that in terms of the global trend, I think we need to look at global inflation and interest rates. If you remember about 2, 3 years ago, this Russian and Ukraine war have actually created a lot of supply chain disruption in the global world, which have actually fueled inflation about 2, 3 years ago. But from the look of things in 2024, we begin to witness a kind of a downward trend in global inflation and which in global inflation. So this thing too will definitely impact the Nigerian economy one way or the other because we can't isolate Nigeria from other
From the
country,
rest of the
other
world.
country of the world.
Can you tell me about the world going if we dwelt more on solar, for instance, if we try to invest more on solar
So
energy,
energy.
what do you think it would do to us economically
No, the reality is that every business we need power
for practically everything
for practically everything, whether as a business owner or you are not a business owner
individual?
or as an individual. We need power. We need power to drive. If you want economy to move, there is need for power, more especially at SMEs level. And if you look at it, what is killing us is energy cost. Energy cost is a primary cost driver. The moment there is an increase in energy cost, it affects every other thing, both the goods, both services, it affects every other sector of the economy. Why do you think most companies actually have to shut down today? Is because of power. Now, if you now see now some top companies now, because of the initiative of this energy act that was passed now, most companies have now begin to generate their own power
Their own
now,
power source.
supply so sources now. So which I think is a good step in the right direction.
Nice. So the world is going tech, practically everywhere. But I don't know about you, but what sectors do you believe will be our primary drivers, in Nigeria and our economic growth for this year?
You've actually answered the question in the sense that if you look at it, then Nigeria is one of the biggest markets for technology in Africa.
Okay.
So I think government need to prioritize. We need to have more venture capitalists who will try to invest in all these startup tech companies in Nigeria to actually drive digital transformation. So tech is a key
Tech,
area.
and it cuts across
It cuts across because now
sectors.
sectors because now every company is now trying to change their operating model from analog platform to digital platform. So the service is there, the market is there. Nigeria is one of the biggest markets. Government really need to look into that particular area. And if you look at the last GDP, they also contributed a higher number to the gross domestic product of Nigeria in
Oh, wow.
2024. So it's a major market that actually need a lot of initiative, a lot of innovation, a lot of financing. The venture capitalists need to start to need to come up need to come up to see how they can actually finance startups in that particular area so that they can actually drive innovation and collaborate.
Thank you. Still along
Agric,
that line.
agric is also an area we also need to enhance our
Okay.
productive capacity to
Okay.
as well to ensure food security in the nation.
Very important. Very important.
Also the service sector too as well. We need to thank God that the bank is going through the recapitalization processes now. I think they were being given about 24 months. This year now will be the 12th month, and a lot of banks have begin to raise capital. Once they raise that capital, they need to deploy that resources into activities that will also generate return. And at this it will also still boost the economic space.
I wish we had more time, but we do not. But before you go, tell me some potential challenges or obstacles that you foresee, towards us achieving these aims and objectives for 2025 economically.
Number one,
Yeah.
the government need to one of the key challenges is insecurity.
Okay.
This is going to affect both the oil and gas sector and agri. Like the oil and gas sector, government needs to enhance the crude oil production for us to be able to meet up our revenue targets. And when this crude oil is being produced, extracted from the ground, they need to be protected so that we can actually earn the actual
And
cash
it goes to
receipt,
the right quarters.
and earn the actual cash receipt that we need to get so that the government can be able to have more money to actually finance the project and reduce our budget deficit. Secondly, in terms of agri
Yeah.
insecurity, now if government really need to address the insecurity so that the farmers can actually go to farm and they will be able to farm and produce their commodities that we can actually process for final consumption. The industrial infrastructure deficit too as well It's another angle that the government also need to look into too as well. Good roads and other things too as well. Power infrastructure, road infrastructure. We need to invest more in real transport system because it's more comfortable to move
Real.
rail. Yes,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's more comfortable to move goods from one destination to the other.
And safer. Thank you so much for coming. I've learned a lot speaking with you. And we'll have you again too because time was really short. Thank you so much for coming. I've been speaking with Mr. Afiz Oladapo Ismaila, an investment banker as well as a tax consultant. What more can I say there? There's a whole lot of money to be made, GDP to be grown if we all play our part. But like you said, don't forget that it takes a peaceful society for development to thrive. Stay with us on Good Morning Abuja. Welcome back, and it's good to know you're still there. Well, at this point, we will talk about something that concerns the good old noble teaching as a profession. We're going to exactly look at how we can transform teaching and learning by empowering teachers themselves. And to help me do this, I have a very seasoned educationist. She is also a literacy advocate. Please let's meet and welcome my guest, Hajia Rashida Sadiq. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so happy to be with you too. I want you to start by telling me how, over the years, the teaching profession has come to be known as the king of all professions.
Okay, so I think I'll start by one simple maxim that we see online that teachers produce everybody. So that is the reason why we should be regarded as the royalty of this world. Because none of us would be here if not for the teachers in our lives at every point in time, right from nursery, for those of us that went to nursery, to primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions. Teachers are a powerful force and should be a powerful force. They should be respected. They should be the kings
Of all professions.
of all
Yeah.
professions. Yes.
I think at this point, I want to say a very big kudos and shout out to every teacher that is responsible for shaping me into the woman that I am today. Thank you. All right, moving ahead. I know it's not Teachers' Day or anything, but do you believe that over the years, that reverence, just before we get into what we're talking about, would you say that over the years we have kept the reverence and respect that teachers really deserve?
Unfortunately, we have not. Over the years, we have seen the reputation of the average teacher decline. And not because teachers are getting worse, not because teachers are not doing what they're supposed to do, but because more and more society is valuing wealth over knowledge, over character. So we see, and there's nothing wrong in being whatever you want to be, like an entertainer, an actor, an actress, or a sports person, but we see the reverence going to those that are making the most money. Unfortunately, it's leaving the classroom because teachers happen to be one of the lowest paid in the scheme of things. And from time to time, we do career days in our schools, and we ask the children to dress up as different things. And you see, out of 20 children, maybe one will come and say, I want to be a teacher. And there's a reason to this. Sometimes, if I tell a child, oh, you're going to make a good teacher, the person's going to tell me, God forbid. And interestingly, I always loved teaching, but that was not what I went to university for because of the societal claim that teaching was not really for the brilliant people. But I'm happy I found my way back to my passion, and I believe that we are the ones shaping the society as teachers.
Believe. Let's x-ray teaching profession as a calling. Let's look at it as a calling. I see it like, I don't want to say spiritual. I'm a very emotional person. Let's look at the teaching profession like you are a calling from above. Let's x-ray it that way. Would you believe?
Personally, for me, I believe it is because I was drawn to teaching and I kept on trying to find my way into teaching until I became a full time, full fledged teacher. I went for my PGDE and I had to go for other certifications in order to be that teacher that I wanted to be, making progress in the classroom. And to be an effective teacher, there has to be passion. Now, teaching is not about knowing the subject. There's subject knowledge and then there's pedagogical knowledge. You have to have that flair. You have to want to pass it on and you have to know how to pass it on. So, yes, to an extent, it is a calling.
Now, over the years, I want to believe that the process of teaching has evolved from just the teacher and blackboard and chalk in hand and students and holding your cane and pointing to the blackboard and saying repeat after me. I want to believe how has the teaching profession and methodology evolved over the years? And do you think we have measured up as a society?
As a society, I want to start by saying we are making efforts, but we have not measured up. Teaching has evolved all over the world from that rote learning, from where the teacher is the sage on the stage, just passing on the knowledge, like you said, with your chalk or your marker or your stick. Teaching has become a collective activity. Learning is a change in behavior, and the students themselves have to be involved in that learning. We have what we now call student centered classrooms. That's how it should be. When the classroom is centered on the student, they are likely to remember, they are likely to participate more. But if they're passive and the teacher is saying everything, they could be daydreaming and nobody knows. You just see them staring at you. You think they're concentrating, but they're not. They're in their head somewhere. So teaching has evolved past that. But in the Nigerian setting, more and more we are getting that training in our teacher training institutions. But a lot of us fall back to the way we were taught. A lot of times because we don't have enough training, a lot of times because we don't know what that kind of classroom should actually look like. We hear that there should be a student-centered classroom, but we don't know what it looks like, what a participatory classroom looks like. We think if we allow our students to take part, they're going to be unruly, they're going to overthrow us. Our classroom management strategies that we were used to in the past is shh, keep quiet, sit down. We've not been in a class where we're allowed, even as adults sometimes when we go to trainings and they say it's a participatory class, we don't know what to do because we were not taught that way. So it will take some time, but I think the part of the solution is getting the word out there and exposing us more, having exchanges with schools that have gotten it, so that a teacher can see that you can actually control your classroom while the students are fully involved in the class. They don't have to be quiet. A quiet classroom is not necessarily a classroom where learning is taking place.
So, what is the ideal situation? So a quiet classroom isn't necessarily where the most learning is taking place. What, in your opinion, is the ideal situation
For
from
me,
kindergarten all the way to the tertiary?
right, all the way from kindergarten, we should be inculcating the life skills, skills that they will meet later on in the office. Now, there are some fields where you are fine with just you and your laptop typing or you and your pen writing, but most fields, you're going to be interacting with others. You're going to be communicating with others. You're going to have to share and grow a project together. So, why not start from kindergarten pairing our children to work together, grouping them so that they know they have those negotiation skills right from early on. They learn emotional intelligence, they learn how to interact and communicate in the best way. They learn how to disagree in a way that is productive, how to give criticism, we don't like to call it that, how to give feedback in a way that is constructive. We can learn that right from the young classes. So let's start to give projects. Let's start to give mini projects. Let's start to give group work. Let's start to allow the children tell us what they know. Because a lot of them with access to internet and television know more than we think they know. Let us pick from what they want to learn and expand it. Let us have our numeracy and our literacy be applied, not just one plus one equals two. But if I give you two sweets and then somebody else gives you two sweets, what do you get? If I give you a box of chocolate and we need to share it with the entire classroom, how are you going to do that? Even a young child that may not know division knows that, okay, I will share. They may not share it exactly the way division would share it, but they start to learn that, oh, I'm going to share it. And sharing, that's division. Then we learn how do you share it equally. Aha, that's when we get to division proper. But they are getting the foundations early on, not just the writing. Some people can actually solve a sum, but give them a word problem, give them a real life problem, and they're totally lost. They don't know that they have to apply that multiplication that they have memorized to solve that problem.
Interesting. You're actually a very seasoned educationist.
Thank you.
And now I see that the child, you're as good as your teacher. I mean, you can't go beyond, what your educator is impacting and all of that. Who's the ideal teacher? Let's start getting into how we can, empower our teachers and really equip and transform them to be the type of 21st century teachers that our children actually need. Who is an ideal one?
Right. So just like you said, I'll start off from there. You cannot give what you don't have. An ideal teacher is someone that loves learning. An ideal teacher cannot say, do you know how long ago I graduated? Do you know how long I've been teaching for? An ideal teacher is looking for the best methods, is examining what other people are doing, not necessarily to adopt everything hook, line, and sinker. You are going on YouTube not because you want to bring the American or British or Finnish classroom directly to Nigeria, but you are thinking of what can I adapt? What can I use? What can I inculcate into my classroom that will also help my learners grow? So the ideal teacher needs to be ready to learn. The ideal teacher needs to be open to feedback and correction. The ideal teacher needs to be able to move away from old knowledge but build on the old knowledge. The ideal teacher needs to be a patient person because you're going to meet different types of learners. The ideal teacher has a lot of work to do on the self. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. I'm learning a whole lot. Here we are this morning interacting with a seasoned educationist, Rashida Sadiq, speaking on how our teachers can be best equipped for 21st century. We'll take a short break. When we come back, there's a whole lot more. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's still Good Morning Abuja, and I'm interacting with a seasoned educationist, Rashida Sadiq, and she's telling me how our teachers can best be equipped. So you just finished talking to me about who the ideal teacher should be. Well, they said a teacher's reward should be in heaven. I don't even want to start explaining all that about how probably we have not appreciated or enumerated our teachers enough. But what should be the mindset of a teacher when he or she goes to the classroom?
Okay, so I believe that the mindset of a teacher when going into the classroom is that I'm here to make a difference. I'm a change agent and I'm a change maker. I don't want to go to the area of teachers' reward should be in heaven because I don't believe it should be in heaven. I believe we should get our reward here and in heaven. And one of the ways that I see my reward every day is when I see my learners progressing. When I go out to the airport and I see a learner that comes up to me and thanks me for being a teacher or just greets me specially because I was their teacher in the past. As teachers, we need to go beyond what is said about us or to us in the society and own our own glory. We need to believe in ourselves. We need to believe in our power. And that is where the mindset comes in. You need to believe that you are special, that you are as good as anybody out there, and you can get to anywhere you want. You can make more money as a teacher. And I'm not here to advertise, but if you're a teacher and you believe that you're stuck in a job that doesn't pay, have you explored online teaching? Have you explored creating resources, books, textbooks, worksheets? Have you explored a blog, a YouTube channel? There are so many ways that teachers can make money now. We're the ones that are editing for people. We're the ones writing content for some people. Even though they have Chat GPT, it's not yet as natural as what a teacher can do. So have it in your mind that you are good. We do need support from other places, but the growth and the empowerment starts with us individually as teachers. Every teacher needs to know that you are a powerhouse and you can do as much as you want to do on the surface of the earth.
Wow, you just took it out of my mouth. I was going to go into the area of how teachers can blend technology and timeless teaching methods. How can they best marry, but especially with online classes and all of that? Talk to me more about that.
Okay, so I think it's a good thing to bring up because a lot of teachers are afraid that AI will take over their jobs. But that is where you, as a teacher, can fuse the two. AI cannot touch the heart of a learner. AI doesn't have the feelings, cannot respond to those thoughts and emotions. Education has three main areas: we have the cognitive, we have the psychomotor, and we have the affective. The affective area is what has to do with emotions, has to do with our aspirations, has to do with our longing. And you, as a human teacher, can do that. So, yes, you're going to be using online tools, Zoom, gamification, Kahoot. So, all those tech tools like Kahoot, which is for gamification, brings in the fun aspect. So while we're still learning the traditional things, we're introducing tech, we're introducing fun, we're introducing less stress for the learners. So either in the classroom or in the online space, the learners can use technology to interact with each other. The learners can use technology to get instant feedback. So if you do a quiz and you get it wrong, you have the opportunity to retake that quiz immediately because the teacher has used Google Forms or any other online platform that can do that for you. So as teachers, we have our traditional roles. We introduce the topic. But where we really come in is bringing out the learning from the person that has learned it, making sure they understand it and they know how to apply it. And that is where we can really, really merge the issue of traditional learning with technological tools in education.
Fantastic. Now, as long as time will exist, teachers will always be needed. I mean, it's dynamic, society is dynamic, newborn babies come up every day, so it's not going anywhere. Yeah, I mean, it's the king of professions, like we said, so it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. Now, how can we begin to empower our teachers? What are we supposed to do? Let's talk about policies, for instance, government policies. What kind of policies should we begin to put in place as a society to make sure that our teachers are well illuminated, motivated, and just love to wake up every morning and go do what they know how best to do, like the UNESCO, so many diverse NGOs are all involved in this.
All right, thank you very much. I think before I go to the policies, I want to talk about you and I.
Okay.
I want to talk about the parents, the guardians, the people in the society. We need to start to give teachers their due regard. We need to start to respect our educators. We need to know that they are trained for the job that they're doing. We often give this example. Do you go to a doctor and then the doctor prescribes something to you and you say, no, I don't want that. In my former hospital, the doctor said this. Even if you have an opinion, you can share your opinion with your doctor, but you're not going to want to lord it over the doctor. People come to our classrooms and try to force us to teach in a particular way or treat their children in a particular manner. You need to trust your child's teacher and you need to let that student know that this teacher is there to help. They need to show respect. If you're in a tertiary institution, you need to respect your teacher in as much as I've come here to spend time with you, to try to teach you, even if it's as a co-learning procedure. I need to be respected. It's very, very important. And that's one of the ways to empower teachers. But when you tell your child, ordinary teacher, don't mind that teacher, you're passing a wrong message. And that child's going to find it difficult to learn from such a teacher. I know that I stand out because I am very proud of what I do and I'm sure of myself. So my learners are willing to learn from me. Another thing, of course, is that I am also relatively exposed. So how are we going to training the teachers? And that's where the policies come in. What kind of training are we giving our teachers? There are a lot of free trainings out there, but we can support the teachers with things like data to access these trainings. We can support the teachers with forming their learning
Groups.
groups, communities, and associations where they can exchange this knowledge, where they can share with each other. And we do have a number of associations. I belong to a number, and we learn from each other. We have some online too, but we can be supported there by policy. We can have stipends that are given to help us with the meetings, with the trainings. We can also look into, and I think that's a very, very key, is how much money are teachers being paid? We work nonstop. I'm in my house and I'm grading students' papers. I'm in my house and I'm setting exam questions. But I'm only paid for the time they think I'm working, 8 to whatever in school. But I'm always working as a teacher. Now we even try to tell ourselves, don't take work home because it's not good for your mental health. But it's difficult to do that as a teacher. Even if you leave all the paperwork at home, you're at home and you're thinking about that one child that was crying in school yesterday. What are you going to do? How are you going to reach that child so that they can share with you? How are you interacting with the guidance counselor? Are you talking to the parents? Are you talking to the community? There are a lot of issues. We're not just in school for education cognitively, but we are also social managers. And that is part of the beauty and strength of the school. We build the society. If we're not equipped, then we're going to have a weaker society as we grow. Cases of depression are first manifested in school most of the time.
In students or
In students, in
really?
students. Teachers, not so much. We are stressed, not so much as depressed. But students also have a lot they're facing in their lives. And a lot of times, it's the teacher that will first notice that this child's behavior is off. We'll ask some questions that make us realize that maybe the child was abused, that maybe the child is hungry, that maybe the child in their family they're going through a divorce or a trauma or loss of a loved one. We're the first contact, and then we decide. Even health issues. A lot of times, the teacher that notices that this child has a squint, we call the parents. Have you taken the child to the doctor? We call, well, this child may need to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a therapist or just a guidance counselor, but we are the ones that see it. And we need to be empowered to identify it, to know how best to approach it. And we need to just be given the due respect and money that we deserve.
Absolutely, absolutely. You've spoken it all. There's nothing more we can add to this. Thank you so much for coming on the program today. I have been so educated. I wish we'd have another session again sometime soon. I do have more questions.
There's always a lot to say. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Well, there you have it. How the need to empower our teachers to be optimally motivated cannot be overemphasized. Respect that teacher today when you see them, give that teacher the encomiums and the pat on the back that they so deserve whenever you see them out there. Because after all, there would be no us without teachers. We'll be right back after this short break. Good morning, Abuja still continues. Welcome back. It's so good to know that you're still with us this morning on the show. Right now, I'm going to discuss a topic that is very, very pertinent to us as a people because, after all, we can only make giant strides when we are all ready to play our part individually towards nation building. We can only be peaceful when we are progressing. I'm going to discuss the role of youth in nation building. Helping me to do this morning, I have a frontline political leader and an astute administrator. He is the APC Anambra aspirant for the 2025 election. Please just welcome my guest, Honorable Dr. Onyeka John Wako.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Nigerians. I'm pleased to be here.
Taking a look at the concept of nation building, what is it all about? Who is a good nation builder?
A good nation builder is a leader who is passionate about the nation. Is a leader who looks at the growth of the nation. Is someone who is interested in uniting a nation. Because nation building has different steps. You need to unite the nation, the economic growth of the nation, the youth inclusiveness, bringing everybody together. So any leader who is not ready to make sacrifice, build the nation, bring the world-class leadership, it cannot be able to achieve the issue of nation building. Because nation building is not just an issue of a person, it has to do with somebody that is committed, somebody that has the zeal to see the nation move. Because the nation, when you talk of nation, cuts across different culture and different religion and backgrounds of people. And for you to build the nation, you need to unify everybody together for us to be able to build the nation.
As the backbone of any country and any economy. How important that is.
So the youth, when it comes to nation building, is very, very important. Because in every population of the world, the youth still have the highest number. So when it comes to nation building, you see that the attitude of the youth can either set the nation backward or make that nation to move forward. Like, let me give an example now. Majority of the people being rejected visas in different embassies are youth. And most of the times are reasons of their conduct outside their country that makes the other country to say, oh no, we must know the reason why you're coming. When it comes to our country, Nigeria, in nation building, the youth needs to get involved. Number one, show acts that can be capable of undermining the building of the nation. Youth needs to participate in the nation building because this nation building cannot be complete without participation of the youth in different fields, in different areas, because there are key roles of youth to play to make sure that the nation is proper, the building of the nation is complete. And when youth are not carried along, are not involved, are not meant to see the reason. Because, some of the youth have not seen the reason for them to get into nation building. But when they see the need and see the reason that this nation cannot grow more than what it is, if we, me as a youth, us as a youth, do not get involved in the political landscape, in the economic landscape, in being useful, because the attitude of a youth, another youth can copy it. But if most of the youth stand up, become skillful, become meaningful to society, believe you me, they will contribute 70% to the nation building.
You mentioned the role of unity. I want to take us back then. Given the Nigerian society where diverse cultures, diverse ethnic groups, people with different religions, bring what is there any way that what can we further do to make youth see the need for this unity, per se, this wholesome unity, so that we begin to cut down on things that divide us and things like restiveness.
Okay, first of all, what we need to do is that, first of all, the government needs to bring youth inclusiveness. Because if, as at the time I'm making plan, like let me say in a family, and the husband is making plan for the family, and the husband calls the wife and says, sit down, calls the children and sit down. Okay, this is my plan. I hand you over to do this. I hand you over to do this. Make sure that you people don't play out. Make sure, they will see that they are part and parcel of the agenda of the family. So when they see that they are part and parcel of the agenda of the family, they will go extra miles to make that work. Let me bring it back to the youth. Most times, youths are not included in the scheme of things. And when youths are excluded, number one, it has a great dangerous impact on whoever or whatever the leadership is trying to do in the nation building. When you now get to the point of unity, you see, I've always said it, the unity of a nation starts when all the different cultures respect each other. I am from this particular culture, the other culture respects, knows that no one is superior to another. What brought us all together is one thing called Nigeria. So if the South respects the North and the North respects the South, this is where you will come into coexistence and live in harmony. And the youth has a role to play when they are told to be able to display that they should respect, youth restiveness comes most times based on agitation. And those agitations are things that they heard or they see. And as leaders, that's why leaders will have the role to be able to speak to these youth, to know that the nation they will destroy all belongs to them. To know that the nation they will bring down, it all belongs to everybody. So including the youth on this nation building goes a long way. Because let me tell you, those youth can form unity. Oh, the person in the north is my brother. I don't need to attack him for any reason. Or the person in the south is my brother. I don't need to attack him for any reason. That is why schemes like NYSC has helped in some area, because it makes you to go to those places you have not gone to serve your fatherland.
Now, sadly, sometimes, we see that these youths themselves are now caught up in vices, criminal activities. How does this tear us down as a people?
So let me say 18 in some places, 18 to an average of bracket of 42, 45. And most of those youths have not understood their purpose in life. Because whenever you understand your purpose in life, there are things you don't have to do. So these youths, they need proper education, enlightenment, letting them know that they are the future of this country. Because even the leaders today, we are once youth, so many years back. And you could say, if some of them have gone to the path some youths told now, they will not be where they are. So you see, youth, there needs to be sensitization, including them, making them to know that some of these vices, crime in quotes, does not pay. Instead, it sets the nation back. It puts the youth in a spotlight. Whereby today you see when people are carrying dreadlocks, they say that police stop them, search them, this and that. But in most of the other parts of the world, it's not so. It's normal. But because at this part of the world, Nigeria we're living, there have been issues of youth being involved in so many things. I don't think if a man of 60 years carried bread or police will say, come down, this and that. No. They know that this one is out of the question. So you see, enlightenment, inclusiveness, and the youth understanding they have a place to play in nation building will reduce some of these crises.
All right, what about, can we now, I want to believe that maybe sometimes there are challenges, or things that would lead up to a youth resorting to crime or not doing the best of what they can do for the nation. Like, can we look at maybe some challenges that young people go through?
Okay, most of these challenges young people go through is peer pressure. You see, there is this thing that is normal. People feel, oh, this is my friend, he's living a larger than life. How do I get to what he's doing? And probably, youth always copy the bad things most times, faster, not the good aspect of it. They go to social media now, they will see somebody throwing cash, spraying cash on wedding, people's wedding, living a flamboyant life, popping champagne in clubs. What he has to do now is, how do I boil like this person? Because all what they are thinking of is that society they focus that peer pressure, understanding that in life, everybody does not have same destiny. Some people can achieve it at the age of 25, while some other person might be destined to at the age of 30. So until they understand that you don't need to be, people don't need to put pressure on you. All you need to be goal, your target and goal. The target and goal of what you want to become in life. For example, these youth have finished school, everybody must not have a white collar job. Everybody. And there is no government in the world that can provide employment for everybody. It is not possible. That is why you have private sector. That is why you have entrepreneurs. That's why you have all that part of.
All right, at this point, we will take a short break. When we come back, there's a whole lot more into this very insightful discussion. Please stay with us. Welcome back. It's still Good Morning Abuja, and I'm here speaking with Honorable Dr. Onyeka Nwafo on the role of youth in nation building. Well, Doc, how can we begin to harness youth potentials? Nigerian youths are talented and intelligent from all across the country, from the north, south, east, and west, and even in the diaspora. How can we as a country begin to harness this potential, that will amount to positively building Nigeria?
Let me take the music industry as number one.
And even sports.
I will just take it one. Let me just get to the music industry. You see, most of the music industry, most of the musicians you have seen today in Nigeria excelled by themselves. They did it, tried it, continued till they became a world success, a world stage name. The way we can harness this by government trying to locate different talents youth have. Create a music industry, not the one being managed, not the one everybody comes saying, he sings, he maybe sing and maybe it's out there and his album starts selling. No. Harness it. Try to locate those talents, people that have musical talent. Try to build them up. Create more musical academy for these youth because you're encouraging them. And someone that has a talent to become a musician, if you take him to be a doctor, he may be a nuisance. He may be in medical school till the time he's sent back. Look at youth that has agricultural skill. Bring them together, train them, encourage them, give them agricultural equipment. Let them know that they are the future, that agriculture is the future for any nation to strive. That agriculture is not seen, for most of the times, we see agriculture as what old women do in the village. past. Oh, my grandmother went to the farm. No, 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 no. It has passed that level. To harness these potentials in nation building, we need to get this youth. Some of them have talent in sports. I know there are quite a number of football academy in the country, but they need to expand it, make the entry free, because that's how you can harness this youth. This football academy, you don't need to pay anything to go there. It encourages them. It's how you can harness it, because tomorrow this youth will become useful to themselves and also make the country proud. In people that want to go into one form of entrepreneurship or something, any other thing, the government can bring them together, train them, because tomorrow, the truth of the matter is that if you train one youth to start up something, he will employ another 3 youths. So you are taking off another 3 youths by empowering one. That one takes off 3, and that one takes off 3. It reduces unemployment. If we harness the talent of youth very well, it will reduce unemployment drastically. And this is by identifying, one of the key roles is identify. Bring the government closer to them. Because when the government is closer to them, when you're able to identify a sense of belonging, identify where do these people belong to. Encourage them. Look at the next 5 years, look at the next 10 years of what you're doing now. Don't look at the immediate. That's one of the ways we can harness this youth in order for us to get to where we're going to election.
Finally, just before we go, what is your advice to the youth of Nigeria as regards their roles in building a safe society?
My advice to youth is that they should see themselves as one of the biggest partners in building the nation. They should see themselves as the future leaders. Because it's only when you feel that something belongs to you, you will protect it. You're going to add more effort to make it work. I don't think that anybody will buy a car today and go to the road and park it and open the door and leave the key in it. Because he knows what will be the result of it. Thieves may come and move the key away. But they will park it, lock the car, put the key in their pocket. So I'm advising the youth to get involved in nation building and shun any form of violence, crisis and violence and whatever that could bring down the nation.
Well, Dr. I have to thank you so much for coming and educating us this morning. And we hope to see you again. There's a whole lot to learn from you. Thank you very much. What more can I say there? The Honorable Dr. Onyeka Nwankwo, educating us on the role of youth in building a prosperous and progressive Nigeria. Stay with us after this short break. There's a whole lot more on Good Morning.